Welcome, sweet friends, to my garden cafe. This morning we are serving this delicious hibiscus and citrus tea sweetened with a touch of honey. It is simply fantastic, guys. And these really festive, bright pink color is just wonderful to serve guests. The tea that I am using to make this lovely drink is made by the Republic of Tea, and it is called Hibiscus Superflower Tea. And I want to show you how to make it because it's not hard at all. So right over here, I'm going to show you a pot of water boiling. And what we're going to be doing is making a sort of condensed tea first that is super saturated with the tea flavor. So as you can see, I have a boiling pot of water. This is a 3-quart pot. And I filled it up. This is not a precise recipe, but I filled it up about 3/4 of the way full. Brought it to a boil, removed it from the heat, and next you'll see what I do to create this delicious tea. Much of the success of a garden, especially an English cottage garden that I'm trying to duplicate in my yard, comes from having blooms at all times of the year. So if you go back and look at my early spring garden tour and my June garden tour, and now what was blooming in July, having that succession of blooms is what keeps your garden looking colorful and very, very delightful for your guests and yourself, of course. Now, when I first started gardening, this was like a mystery to me. How in the world can you know which plants to plant to guarantee that whole summer of color in your yard? And it is kind of a trial and error sort of experience, and you learn more the more you garden and the more you read about plants and so on. So don't get discouraged, and we all have successes and failures. I have often planted flowers and bushes that, you know, according to their description, should do well in my climate, and thinking, oh my, this is going to be beautiful in my garden, and then they die through the winter or just don't make it through the next summer. We have our failures, and you can't let that worry you, because all gardeners have successes and failures. And what might be growing beautifully in my neighbor's yard, for some reason I can't get it to grow in mine. So don't let that bother you or worry you or make you think you have a black thumb, because all it takes is a little persistence and some education, reading about plants and so on, will help you create a gorgeous garden. So let's go take a look at what was growing in July. These lovely chives flowers are so pretty. Look at them. Just like what you would find on any plant in the onion family, like alliums, but of course they bloom later, which is great for here where I live at a higher altitude. I've had a lot of trouble with my alliums not blooming because of late snows and so on, but I always get these gorgeous allium flowers every summer. Aren't they lovely? And of course, chives are delicious in the food that you prepare. Here is my pink ice plant that I have. It's right near where my bird feeders are, and I love the way it opens in the sun and shows those bright sunny flowers and then closes in the evening. Now let's walk over to where I have a yellow type. What I really enjoy about ice plant, and here's that yellow variety I mentioned, is that it can act as a ground cover. And if you have a dry area in your yard, these are fantastic for growing in the sun, and they are quite bright in color. Just add that touch of yellow or pink to your garden in the bright sun. And as you can see, this ice plant grows lower to the ground and it has smaller leaves, but it is just very, very pretty. I so like seeing this patch when I'm walking through my yard each day. This is my bronze fennel, which is just beginning to bloom, and I simply adore this plant because it is a host to the black swallowtail butterfly caterpillars. And a little bit later on in the summer, I will see them coming from I don't know where, and they chomp down on the fronds and the flowers. And of course, I just love that. This container is doing quite well, and my black-eyed Susan vine has recovered quite a bit from the hail damage that we had earlier. You can see it right there on some of the leaves. It's really looking so pretty. And do you see these double petunias here? Aren't they amazing? Quite pretty. Now in the summer garden, we do see the pots coming into their own, blooming so beautifully. Aren't they nice? And this is going to be in bright sunlight, but I wanted you to see that my zebra grass is beginning to get its stripes. So pretty. Here's a favorite garden area. You can see in the bottom right side that I have a few gaillardia popping up, and these very pretty pink yarrow that I got from a friend from her garden, so I'm not sure about the exact variety. Over here is a better picture of my Anthony Waterer spirea, which is one of the longest blooming spireas that you can buy, and very pretty hot pink flowers right there next to my moonshine tall and very vigorous yarrow. And of course we have variegated featherweed grass here with its sort of light pink inflorescences. And down here, I just love this silver mound artemisia. Isn't it pretty? I'm waiting for my tall garden phlox here to start blooming, and I'll show you that when it does. This one is a white color. In this little garden patch, I have my stargazer lilies back there that just had some buds on them, so the hailstorm really didn't affect the blooms, but the poor leaves look a little battered. And then, oh, I just wanted to share you while they were still in their prime, these rose campions. This fantastic flower is such a bright pink with this grayish foliage, and it's very soft, sort of like lamb's ears. It reseeds and volunteers, and it's just a lovely, bright, center of color for your garden if you enjoy especially that pretty pink color. Here I am amongst the rose campion, and I wanted to share with you a close-up look at these so pretty wine cups. Aren't they just darling? Such a beautiful bright pink color, and I love the way they spread. They're not all open yet, it's more the beginning of their season, but oh my goodness, this area will be covered with them soon. I love this little area on the other side of my yard, using this old tree stump as sort of a pot holder. And right next to it here to the left, you will see one of my favorite flowers called balloon flower. And here you can see some of the little buds which look like balloons. They get larger and larger until suddenly they pop open to make this beautiful bloom. You all might know by now how much I love grasses, and this lovely variety is blowing in the breeze. Just so delightful. And here's a peek at a few of my Shasta daisies that are blooming right now. I have these scattered around my yard for July and August. A great bloom time and a lovely flower. So wonderful, so cheerful. For the last flowers that I wanted to share with you today, let's walk over here to see these magnificent Monarda. Now, the common name for Monarda is bee balm, and maybe you saw my video about transplanting and changing this little patch of my garden, and I'll put a card up here if you're interested in learning more about Monarda. But look at these spectacular flowers, and I love that I have two colors here. The combination of purple and red flowers in this Monarda patch just is so gorgeous, isn't it? And the unusual shape of these flowers, I just think they're so delightful. And don't forget that this is one of the really favorite plants for pollinators and for hummingbirds. And to thank you all so much for stopping by my channel, and I hope you learned something today and enjoyed the look at my garden. And you know, I also want to thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that so much. And don't forget to like my video if you enjoyed it today. Upcoming videos from me that you might want to look for is I'm going to do a video about vintage silver, and I'm, you know, an entire video about that and how to care for it. And I'm also going to be doing some thrifting flips for you because I have really been getting into shopping at thrift stores more recently, thanks to some of the ladies that I follow on YouTube have really inspired me. So come on back if you enjoy those topics as well, and I will see you again very soon. Take care now.